is one of my favorite postpartum snacks I like to make. Dairy free. It is a lemon almond bar. Don't make fun of how I say almonds. Okay, hello. Welcome back to my channel. Before we start, I would appreciate if you can hit like and subscribe. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Jay. I am a certified doula amongst many other things. But I really wanted to talk a little bit today about and what I would love what I would love to continue to provide. So, like I said, I'm certified doula. And because of that, I was able to accept certain insurances. It really kicked off with Medicaid. Once I was approved for Medicaid in my state, all the other insurances just came knocking and sending you paperwork and links and asking you to join their networks. And there's also some private like fertility companies, Maven, there's a bunch of them, but they're all starting to crawl out of the woodwork right now, and they're looking for certified doulas. So if you feel like birth work is the work for you and the place for you to be, I would highly encourage you to become certified, because that is a minimum requirement for most of these insurances or whatever you want to call them, sort of like a HSA or FSA type of fund. So I would, definitely get certified. And every training, every course is very different when it comes to what does the certification look like. It takes time. So I would tell you that, like, if you were in school, if you were a student, maybe you can do the training and the certification and find clients during the summer. If you have another job, I would tell you to take on not too many clients, but it can be emotionally and physically overwhelming to be on call 24/7 on top of having a regular job. So I would kind of implore you to be careful how you pace yourself in getting those clients. It's okay to only have 3-4 clients a year. That's totally fine. It doesn't make you a less competent doula. In fact, I would argue it makes you a little bit more focused if you have less clients and you're able to give each client above and beyond more than 100%. So just something to keep in mind as you start to build your doula practice. The big thing for me is sort of figuring out like my niche in the whole birth world. And this is all the way from fertility to postpartum for me. And I really, really love births, but the on-call life can be very demanding. And so I typically only take 1 to 2 births a month now. I don't do more than 2, and I don't do more than 2 back to back. So like right now I have one at the end of May and one at the beginning of June, but they're probably going to be in the same week, to be honest with you. They're probably going to occur in the same week. So basically July I won't take anyone. August, September I probably am not going to take. That's when most people are super busy, when most doulas are busy. And I would definitely focus on being a postpartum practitioner. So I'm now calling myself a postpartum recovery practitioner because that's the focus of my practice. That's the most of what I do. And I feel it can look very different than what people expect and sort of what the birth work community is shaping it out to be right now. My perspective of the postpartum doula life, and I talked to my mentor a lot about this, is that it's very newborn care heavy, which is great if that's what you love. But I think that the distinction between a postpartum doula and a newborn care specialist is probably gone at this point. It's fuzzy. And so for me, I really want to emphasize that I am a postpartum recovery practitioner. So all the training that I've done, all the training I'm currently doing, I'm always training. I'm always in a birth work course. I'm always in a workshop. And I think that shows like my true passion behind being a doula, is that I'm always training and education, not necessarily working towards like certifications, but building my network, learning, gaining wisdom from so many other doulas that are out there, and really helping me shape and hone my practice basically to what I want it to be. So I'm calling myself a postpartum recovery practitioner. And what does that entail? Well, basically, big thing is the Ayurvedic belly binding and therapeutic touch. So a belly rub before the bind, some pre and postnatal fitness, because what you do in prenatal will help set you up for what your postpartum looks like, regardless of the birth experience that you've had. So I'm working on my certification in that. Hopefully will be done in like the next 6 weeks, because I've had that on the radar for a while. So I've been doing it, but I decided to pivot and start a different program, because the program I was in was more of like, it was not what I wanted it to be. And it's with one of those larger fitness certifying bodies here in the United States. And it just wasn't a vibe. So I decided to pivot and actually go back to Babomia, because they have a pre and postnatal fitness certification route. And so I'm taking that route instead. So it's going really well. It definitely makes more sense to me. It definitely highlights things that are aligned with the Body Ready method already, and that I already understand in terms of like your core and managing pressure systems and things like that when it comes to lifting. So they complement each other very well. So I will drop the link down below if you're interested in doing that course. But back to what my practices in terms of postpartum will look like. So the belly binding, pre and most important postnatal fitness, to include yoga, because I am yoga certified. And then my usual like foot soak, scalp rub, scalp soak if you'd like, postnatal, pre and postnatal yoga for sure, some gentle movement stuff, and meal prep, because I love cooking stuff in the Instapot and on the stove. So that's what my practice looks like. And basically, while I wrap you and put an eye mask on you and put a weighted blanket on you and you rest, I'm like prepping your meal. So that whole like postpartum session, and yoni steaming, that whole postpartum session is 3 hours long, and that's what you get from me. And of course, I will always have my placenta encapsulation and tincture services as well. So that's really what postpartum looks like for me. And if you are a consistent client of mine and you're like, girl, we need a break, I will offer an overnight, but I'm moving away from newborn care. I think it takes a different touch to do that. I think you have to be extremely well rested to do that. And I have kiddos who are both in like these phases of their lives where they're just like, they have a lot going on at the same time. They have a lot of energy at the same time. And so I feel like it would be crucial for me to step back from newborn care. Newborn care is pretty demanding in terms of like overnight. Well, not pretty demanding. I would say like physically, right? Especially if you're doing it back to back. So if you have a lot of overnights, but you still have to come and get your kids ready for school the next day and then pick them up, you actually don't have enough time to recover. And so I think that is just really important to be cognizant of when you're taking on newborn care clients, that you have prices that reflect the labor and the emotional toll that it's going to come with, because babies screaming, that's a lot. Plus, I think when you are exhausted as a newborn care specialist, you're placing that baby's life in danger. Like, you need to be fully rested to be a newborn care specialist. So if I have like a client that's really like, they're like not getting any sleep, I will offer, a longer day visit where after we do all the postpartum things, they can go and take a quick nap. Or I may offer an overnight, but that's not something that I'm going to be like, it's not going to be on my website like, oh, you can go and pay for an overnight stay. So I think it's just really important to not only establish boundaries, as my mentor would say, but to also enforce boundaries with yourself and with clients. And when I first started, I did quite a bit of newborn care, but I also had a newborn. So I don't know how I did that. Like, I would be at clients' house and I would be pumping too, because I was still breastfeeding. But I guess I was just kind of like in newborn infant mindset, and it wasn't too bad. And I also didn't do a ton of overnights. Did like 1 to 2 a week. And that I think was very tolerable. But then I started getting more birth clients. So that delicate balance between being on call, but then also like providing postpartum care. And I think that's why you'll find many doulas pick one side of the road. I enjoy both deeply. I just know what it takes for me to give 100% on both sides of the road. And so for me, it's 1 to 2 births every month or every 4 to 6 weeks. And postpartum clients who get a 3 to 5 hour day visit if absolutely necessary, mostly a 3-day visit. And that's more and more my practice is becoming. I want postpartum, like newly postpartum families to be like, oh, my wife or my girlfriend, like she just needs like some therapeutic touch and help with breastfeeding and a quick snack. I'm always going to make a quick snack if you're breastfeeding, because when the baby's eating, you should be eating too, right? So the other thing is too, like some moms just want to talk for a couple hours. So I'm also there to hold space. But like, as I said, as a doula, you really have to establish your boundaries and enforce them so that you don't become burnt out. Or you don't, you might have a really bad experience with someone, but you didn't establish a boundary with them as a client. That makes it less enjoyable. That makes it exhausting. So that is kind of what I wanted to talk about really quickly in this vlog, was that I'm pivoting. And I hope that makes sense and that more people, that's what they're looking for. And I got to do a better job of promoting that on my website and on my social media. So that's my mission the next couple of weeks. So thank you for tuning in. I really showcased this week just me cooking a bunch of stuff, and I got into like a cooking craze, and I've also become a pescatarian. I've done it before, but now I'm really locked into it now. So ton of tuna, ton of salmon, ton of chickpeas. It's been fun. It's been a really good pivot for me. I feel way better, like overall. I haven't lost any weight, but I feel a lot better overall. So thank you again for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and comment below. Tell me what you think your postpartum or your partner's postpartum recovery should look like. Bye.